If you've ever found yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, completely unable to quiet your racing mind, well, you are definitely not alone. But what if the secret to falling asleep isn't a melatonin pill or a breathing exercise? What if it's actually about the specific mechanical way a story is engineered? Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to deconstruct 8 completely distinct, sleep-inducing fairy tales to uncover the exact formula for deep relaxation. Today, we are basically reverse engineering the source code of coziness.
Okay, let's jump right in by asking a question that instantly flips our expectations and really sets the tone for our journey into the dreamscape. Think about the stories you were told as a kid. They were pretty much full of danger, right? Predators, wicked curses, the constant threat of getting eaten. But what if the ultimate bad guy was actually just a really considerate neighbor?
So let's kick things off with part 1, subverting classic villains.
To really understand this formula, we have to look at how these stories take our childhood anxieties and literally sand down the scary edges. Notice how the ultimate villain is transformed here. In the classic tale, the big bad wolf is an absolute nightmare, blowing down houses to literally eat the 3 little pigs. But in this reimagined source material, he's a friendly neighbor. The wolf moves into a charming thatched-roofed cottage, notices his pig neighbors struggling to build their homes, and decides to help. Using his immense strength and woodworking skills, he happily constructs an A-frame hay house and a living willow dome for them. I mean, he even leaves hand-carved wooden candlesticks at their doors as housewarming gifts. The whole thing culminates with him enjoying a lovely spinach quiche and lemonade dinner with the 3 little pigs as they watch the sunset together. The tension just completely evaporates.
And it's not just the wolf. This brilliantly illustrates our second subversion, the monster who really just needs a friend. In the classic Jack and the Beanstalk, the giant is a terrifying man-eater. But in the sleepy version, when Jack reaches the top of the clouds, he discovers Blunderbore. And Blunderbore isn't a monster at all. He's a gentle soul who is absolutely weeping in his massive garden because he lost his beloved pet goose. Jack helps him find the goose, wandering in the giant weeds, and the giant is so incredibly grateful he invites Jack and his mother to live with him peacefully. The threat is entirely neutralized, instantly replaced by friendship and safety.
That brings us right to part 2, sensory immersion in nature. Once the threat of a villain is safely out of the picture, these stories physically ground your restless mind by offering up a diverse array of perfectly safe, super lush environments to explore. The sources don't just say they were in a forest. No, they build rich atmospheric biomes. You have Ariel's remote island with powdery golden sand and the soothing scent of pine needles and honey. You have a literal treehouse town resting high up in the clouds. There's Blunderbore's garden, where giant daisies and weeds provide this comforting green canopy. And of course, you have the pristine, diamond-dusted northern forests. Your brain honestly has no choice but to visualize these incredibly soothing spaces.
The crucial mechanism here is how the text uses incredibly evocative language to essentially force your senses to relax. Take this brilliant line from the Beanstalk story. When Jack is climbing the massive vine, surrounded by the smell of ripe tomatoes and cucumbers, he takes a tiny nibble of the stalk. The story describes it by saying it tasted exactly like the color green. It's a masterful use of cross-sensory description. You aren't just hearing a story at that point, you are tasting and smelling the very essence of nature right alongside the character.
To make these expansive natural worlds feel totally safe, the stories reimagine what are normally harsh, unforgiving elements into comforting deities. Take winter, for example. Normally, getting lost in the freezing northern woods is a complete survival nightmare. But here, we are introduced to King Frost. When a young girl named Daria gets lost, King Frost definitely doesn't let her freeze. Instead, he's this dazzling figure who invites her into a luxurious white sleigh, wraps her in soft woolen blankets, and materializes a silver tray with steaming hot cider and magical chocolates. He actually paints the forest from green to pristine white by throwing dazzling fragments into the air.
Even the massive, world-shaping forces of nature are inherently nurturing in these tales. Look at Bayura, the Queen of Winter. She's a towering giantess who creates the winter snow simply by peacefully washing her great gray plaid in the Corriverine whirlpool. And she doesn't use her massive iron and oak-handled hammer to destroy anything. She uses it to meticulously carve the Scottish mountains, widening rivers and digging fertile valleys specifically to protect and feed her beloved herd of hundreds of red deer. The awesome, terrifying power of nature is completely reframed as a protective, motherly embrace.
Moving right along to part 3, gentle twists on heroics.
So, a sleepy story still needs a plot, right? But it absolutely cannot raise your heart rate. A perfect example of this low-stakes conflict is Snow White. The evil queen still exists, and she still tries to curse Snow White, but it never feels like a high-stakes tragedy. When the queen gives her an enchanted hair comb, Snow White simply falls asleep. Her dwarf friends return, say, "Oh dear," pull the comb out, and she wakes right up. Later, the queen leaves a magically cursed ring in the garden. Snow White puts it on, falls asleep again, and this time a visiting prince just gently slides the ring right off her finger. Boom, curse broken. The drama is totally deflated into a mild inconvenience that is easily and gently resolved. And instead of a grand, epic quest for absolute power, these stories champion the simple act of letting go. In the tale of Ariel's Island, the air spirit Ariel discovers the former sorcerer Prospero's powerful leather-bound magic book buried deep underwater in a forest of seaweed. Now, in a normal fantasy, this is the inciting incident for a massive world-spanning quest. But Ariel? Ariel simply looks at it, decides to let it decay in the ocean, and swims away to look at pretty shells. Letting go of ambition to find peace is the ultimate anti-stress mechanism. And finally, we hit part 4, the architecture of sleep. These stories construct a literal architecture of sleep, directly mimicking the physical act of you, the listener, drifting off in your bed. In The Magic Down, we see this literal harvest of joy. Two girls, Lucy and Amelia, are so happy that they leave a glowing golden aura of happiness wherever they walk in the woods, and nature has a built-in mechanism to distribute this. The local long-eared owls execute this beautiful, soothing routine. First, they trace the girls' path under the moonlight. Second, they swoop down and catch this golden aura in a delicate silvery spiderweb bag. And third, they fly high into the night sky and empty the bag, showering the sleeping valley and its inhabitants in pure, joyful emotion.
This physical journey into rest is mirrored perfectly in the story of the world above. Just look at the timeline here. At 5 p.m., a yellow house gently uproots itself and floats into the sky. By the evening, the children are riding a steam train with a gentle clickety-clack rhythm, wrapped in woolen blankets, literally eating a roast dinner from a golden trolley. And by night, Pemble the giant gently carries them to sleep on multicolored pastel clouds that taste like candy floss. The narrative literally tucks the characters into bed, vividly signaling to your brain that it is time to do exactly the same.
And sometimes the story just cuts straight to the chase and sings to you. Ariel, the air spirit we met earlier, performs a nightly ritual. Ariel sings a wordless, vibrating lullaby that washes over the entire island. As the text notes, the harmony echoes through the trees. Instantly, they feel calm and sleepy. This lullaby literally sings the island's wildlife to sleep, acting as a brilliant metaphor for the overarching goal of this entire explainer: to soothe the listener into total tranquility.
So by weaving together these 8 distinct narratives, subverting the villains, wrapping us in vivid sensory nature, keeping the stakes incredibly low, and physically modeling the act of falling asleep, we've uncovered the ultimate cozy bedtime formula, hiding right in plain sight. Which brings us to a really powerful realization to end on. If authors have the power to rewrite our most stressful childhood classics, turning big bad wolves into friendly carpenters and raging storms into gift-giving kings, how can you rewrite the narrative of your own stressful day before you close your eyes? I'll leave you to reflect on that final thought. Hopefully, it brings a bit of that golden aura into your own night. Sleep well.